Backstage again at the 2025 Iowa City Jazz Festival. The headliner for this Sunday is BYO Brass. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us.
And you, Dan Squared,
Dan Squared.
Dan Meier.
Dan Meier.
Benson.
Dan Benson.
Dan Benson. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to have you
Thanks for
here.
having us.
Talk a little bit about the inception of BYO Brass. Obviously, it's kind of based on New Orleans brass bands,
Yeah.
but obviously much more than that.
Oh, yeah. So this is a project that came out of 2017. Back when all of us were in college still at the University of Northern Iowa. I was putting together I think it was like their junior or senior recital or something like that. And I was like, you know what would be fun to have on my recital? Because I'm a tuba player. Like, I would love to have a brass band. So I also was a part of Panther Marching Band at the time. And I was just kind of picking out sounds in the ensemble. I was like, oh my gosh, that trombone player right there, he is blasting over everybody else in the ensemble. And that actually came to be our first trombone player, Gus Geiger, who's based out of Illinois right now. But you know, from there it just kind of expounded. I found some more players. Our Barry sax player was in PMB, and then we knew a bunch of guys in the jazz program, and put together our first show for I think it was a Dorn Espy concert through Phi Mu Alpha, and it started out as a 12-piece brass band. And then after that, I was like so hyped up on the energy that I was like, we got to keep this going. And so I put together the 9-piece originally for my recital. And then after that, turned into a 10-piece later down the road. And we're happy with what we've been doing since then. So,
Talk a bit about who were the original members of the band.
Oh, goodness gracious.
You can remember that far back.
You're putting me on the spot. So originally, it was me. We had Trevor Else on drums, who is our first drummer, if I'm remembering all correctly. Trevor Else. And then we had Mark Northup, who was a phenomenal saxophone player. We had him on tenor. And then Gerardo Gomez, who's still an original member of the band, played alto and tenor with us. And then in the horn section, we had on trumpet, we started out with Colton Whetstone. Colton Whetstone, he teaches in Winterset, Iowa right now. And he played lead trumpet for us. And Andrew Piper, currently still with the band since the inception.
Nice.
And he'll argue the fact that Metro, can't remember his last name.
Lyle.
Yeah, so he was originally with the band, so Andrew doesn't think he was with the band from the inception, but he's always been with the band since the start. So, and then in the trombone section, we had Gus Geiger, like I said, and Jason Andriano, and then Colton Kurtz, originally with the band since the start. He's going to be here today, and he plays Barry sax for us. So that's where we started out, and now we're here.
So how did you guys? Obviously, you expounded the idea of the brass band into a little more. I mean, you got hip hop, you got obviously there's jazz in there.
Yep.
How did you decide what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like Dan said, the band we still have quite a few original members, but we've also flipped over some members since the inception. Myself included. I joined the band in January of 2020. What a perfect time to join a band.
Yeah, right.
But in addition to myself, we had some other guys move on, and we've replaced those players with, I think our number one priority was to find confident writers. We wanted to continue making original music and original arrangements of popular music, since that's a great medium for brass band, is to play popular music in an instrumental setting. And so Paul Lichty was, I think, the number one call when the trombone players that were originally here took off. It was, I think we both looked at each other right in the eyes and said, we got to get Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Lichty, obviously, amazing composer in the Des Moines area.
Got his own big band. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been with the band since 2021,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
And then Kyler Boss on the drum set as well from Cedar Falls. Two very different writers, but both of their voices have been very, very well represented with the stuff we've recorded in the last couple of years. And then I think having both of them around also inspired everyone else to get on the horse with writing and arranging a little bit. Andrew, you're going to hear some of his music today. Really, really beautiful original music from Andrew Piper as well.
Cool.
And of course, Dan is kind of the jack of all trades. He also writes quite a bit of our original music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk a bit about the backgrounds of the members of the band. I know you got quite a few educators, but I think there's also an auto mechanic in the bunch to fix the bus on the road. You know, it's like talk about who are the educators of the ensemble.
Sure. So I know Dan, you teach in Waukee.
Yep.
Kyler Boss actually just took a job. He'll be teaching in Pella next fall.
Okay.
Andrew, the second trumpet player, he teaches up at Garner Hayfield Ventura High School. Who else we got? Paul's down at Winterset Middle School, junior high. Used to be a couple more, I think.
Yeah.
Gerardo was at Anamosa. He's actually in grad school out in Greeley right now.
Yep.
Oh,
but,
wow. Nice.
Yeah. And then, some of the newer players, not teachers, but a lot of us are active private educators.
Yep.
I did a little stint. I taught at Simpson a couple years ago while they were interim, but I'm actually have since moved to the Twin Cities, so freelancing and doing some like high school private lessons as well. But I think we've all got a little taste of education on some level.
Yeah.
Besides who's the auto mechanic in the group?
Colton Kurtz. He went to UNI for a performance degree in jazz and Barry saxophone, I think. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a mechanic. So he got a job as a mechanic. It's pretty awesome.
Nice. You guys were at Jazz Under the Stars just last year, a couple of years ago.
Yep,
last year. Man, that's wild. Ugh. It's crazy to think how like little time has actually passed, but in reality, it's like years.
Been a lot of shows in between then and now.
Yeah.
And since then, you've also got a new CD out, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
Talk a little bit about that and how that came together.
Yeah, we just dropped a brand new album this just the beginning of this year, May 31st. And it was kind of like an inception of like one summer. I think it was last summer or 2 summers ago. A lot of the guys in the band were just like really passionate about making new music and having new stuff for the band. And there was just one summer we had like basically just a brand new book where the guys just wrote arrangements, and then they just had a bunch of stuff because we had events like we had Pride Festival that year, and Paul really kind of spearheaded a ton of arrangements on that one.
I think he did 5 arrangements just for that one show.
Just for that one show. And throughout that writing process and our shows that we've been performing those songs at, there was this kind of like weeding out of like how does the audience react to certain things, and like what songs have we been playing that we've been doing so differently that we have in the past, like that we want to have on this album. And so in our idea for this album name, we actually had one of the ideas of like bangers only, which is just like songs that only go really well at shows. And so that's kind of like what Breathe is. And Breathe is 15-track album of just songs where we were like, these go so well at our shows. They're also just impressive arrangements, and we want to get these recorded as fast as possible. And that's what Breathe is. So
yeah, you find a little bit of a struggle between playing live and then trying to make an album of. There's music that all of the band members really like. There's music that all of the audience members really like, and then if you make a Venn diagram, some of those charts cross over, but it's not all. Sometimes the stuff that we like more is not the stuff that sells super hard.
Yep.
So as a band that plays all sorts of different shows for all different types of crowds, we it's a constant struggle, but also a constant blessing to get to adapt the set list and things like that. So yeah, like the creation of the album was, we obviously want people to listen to it. So what is the current audience and hopefully the new audience going to appreciate the most from a purely instrumental setting? Again, when sometimes we're playing shows with rock bands or stuff that we're getting listeners that aren't used to jazz, aren't used to solely instrumental music, but I'll tell you, especially last night was a great example of.
I was just gonna say,
we find some crowds for the first time, and there was a 4-band bill last night, and I think we had the biggest crowd and probably the most response afterwards, which
Nice.
we weren't necessarily expecting, but what a pleasant surprise.
Where was that?
Up, we played the 7th Street entry in Minneapolis last night.
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was awesome because, and just kind of like feed off of what he was talking about, like we played one of Paul's charts that we're actually going to be playing today, RPE 10, and that's like like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard style. Like it's just like a kind of like inspiration from like their heavy metal albums and stuff. And so like we're like, is there any King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard fans in here? And like the whole front row just erupted. They're like, we love them, and we're like, well, we found our audience, and we're glad we put this on the set. So yeah, it's fun to be able to go from like that, and then also to go to like the title track on the album, which is a very synth wavy, like ambient track that would be more considered like pop and like California pop and stuff like that. So it's just a very chameleon-esque album, and there's something on there for everyone. So that's what we truly believe.
So this is a knock on vinyl there. Yeah. Is this more of like a summer band with everybody spread out? Is it difficult to play the rest of the year? I mean, with you guys all some of you teaching, and you're in Minneapolis.
Yep.
And,
yeah, it is a little tricky. But like luckily we've kind of structured the band in a way over the past like 4 years-ish, where we've developed an admin team and we have more structure and more systems in place to make things happen efficiently. So like it used to be a lot of just me, and also at the time Jason Andriano, who also helped co-lead the band. And then Dan came on, and then Dan and I were co-leaders. And then we started adding more people into this admin team. And so with Paul, Paul has been super, super helpful to come in because he's technically our music director of the band. And so what he'll do is he'll organize the rehearsals, and he'll contact members about getting to rehearsals. He'll contact subs too, because like we consider ourselves to be a collective. We have a core member group, but there is a collective aspect to it where we bring in people from all over. So sometimes, let's say Paul can't make it to a gig, then we have like Gus Geiger, who's closest to this Iowa City area. He'll be able to come in and fill in the spots. So it makes it easier with that. So then when we rehearse, we usually try to rehearse along with substitutes. So that way when we go to a show, it's just always BYO Brass. So that's why it's kind of like how we work around those things.
Sounds like a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And we definitely do. We fill the schedule in the summer with the educators in the group, obviously being largely unavailable, especially in the springtime with all of the competitions that happen every weekend. But we do our fair share during the school year. The one nice thing about a lot of the teachers are teaching in a similar district. They've got the same weekends off, so we know which weekends we can book something and which we can't.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we going to hear today? Is it most all originals or some covers of some things?
So making the set list for this one was a fun challenge because, again, I wanted to stray away a little bit from the pop music. We do typically about half this set is pop music. And we're going to do a little bit of that, but I focused today's set list on featuring our improvisers, with this being a jazz festival and all. Really getting a chance to show off the fabulous improvisers we have in the band. Particularly, you're going to hear a lot of Andrew Piper, a lot of Tyler Utter and Gerardo on the saxophones today, a lot of both of our trombone players, Paul Lichty and Colin Kruko, as well as some fantastic drumming from Antonio Lopes out of the Forest City area. So there will be a wide mix of styles of music, but you're going to hear a lot of solos. And I think, it's just the best way in this setting to feature what we've got going on.
Sure, absolutely.
And then selfishly, you're also going to hear a lot of high notes from myself. So
that's what we want. We want the high notes.
That is my job.
Yeah.
So what do you got coming up? More gigs around the area that we can plug for you? Or?
Yeah, luckily this past weekend, I mean, we had a triple header this weekend, so I think we're well due for a bit of a break. Next weekend, I believe we have Doozy Days.
Yep, in Garner, Iowa.
Garner, Iowa, and then after that, I think we have a week off, which is really nice because that's not very common in the summer, especially for our band. And then we're right back the next weekend.
Yep, the 50th anniversary of the Des Moines Farmers Market.
Yeah.
So come catch us downtown Des Moines at noon on July 26th.
I'll tell you what, don't sleep on farmers markets as a beginning musician because that is one of the best ways to publicize yourself and get out there. And we've been doing farmers markets even since the beginning, and we still try to do at least one farmers market a year. And every time it's like, oh, we want to get you over here. We want you to do this. And we get a lot of emails
Nice.
afterwards, so it's always fun to see
Who would have
that.
thought?
Yeah.
Farmer's
right?
Market.
I know.
10,000 free eyes.
Yeah, exactly. It's free publicity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everywhere from the Twin Cities to Garner, Iowa, ladies and gentlemen, BYO Brass. Great to have you guys here for the festival this year, and boy, good luck in the coming years, in the coming weeks, and wow, thanks for taking some time out.
Of course.
Dan and Dan.